Hello, true duelists. YGO Strats here. I'm debating changing the name of my channel, but I'm too lazy to come up with anything new. So it's YGO Strats here. Welcome to Why Not Play, a series where I talk about why I play and why maybe you should play various decks. This week I'm talking about Fluffal, the deck for fluffers. Or at least that is the slur MBT calls people who play this deck. So go ahead and start calling yourself that if you choose to play this. There is literally no other meaning for that term whatsoever. Fluffal is a fusion deck, best known for its OTKs and cute monsters. And if you're about those things, then you might like this deck. I first started playing it in 2015 or so, having acquired enough of the cards from boxes and due to the community realization that Fluffal had a surprisingly decent Cosmo matchup, in particular in regards to Frightfur Sheet being an Armades that could float, and when boosted by Sabertooth, there wasn't a whole lot Cosmo could do without multiple Dark Destroyers in the same turn. That and the artwork of Fluffal Crane sold me on the deck, even though I've never played that card. It's bad. Fluffal started as a very underwhelming deck in 2014, but slowly over time accomplished something that Super Heavy Samurai could never do, despite the two of them getting the same amount of support. Becoming a competent deck. Its OTK strategy was apparent from day one with frightfur Wolf, and despite being known for it, modern support has given it options to do more than just that. And most recently, you can even play on the opponent's turn, even when they're going first, which is kinda which is kinda nutter butter. Like, straight up goofy. So, here we go. The Fluffal cards. There's plenty to get through, so we're just gonna speed run this shit. Get that timer on the screen. Let's go. Dog. It's cute, and it searches when summoned from the hand. Any Fluffal or Edge Imp censored specifically. Good card. Leo. It's cute, and a small beater. Bad card. Cat. Cutest card in the deck? Yes. Recovers a polymerization from grave when sent there as a fusion material. Solid card. Rabbit. Recovers a Fluffal or Edge Imp censored monster, specifically when sent to the graveyard as fusion material. Solid card. Just one question. What's in the bag? A shark or something? Nope, it's a dolphin. It can set Toy Vendor from the grave to the field, then send one Fluffal or Edge Imp censored from deck to grave, and when sent to the grave for a fusion summon, can shuffle a fusion spell or poly card from the banished pile or grave into the deck. Great card, not a great Weasel cosplay, but it tried though, so we play it. Owl. Searches poly when summoned from the hand, or can pay 500 life points to fusion summon a frightfur monster using materials from your hand or field, but you can only use one of those effects per turn. Acceptable. Also could be cuter. Bear. Looks confused. Can be discarded to set Toy Vendor from deck to field, not search it, so it technically plays around draw, and can be tributed to recover a polymerization from grave to hand. Good card because of the first effect. Sheep. Free summon from hand if you control another Fluffal, and can return a Fluffal from field to hand to revive any Edge Imp monster from grave. Solid card, could be cuter. Mouse. An absolute unit. It summons up to 2 copies of itself from deck when on field and locks into Frightfur's summons the turn you use it. Was okay at one point, cute enough to make up for it now. Wings. If it's in the grave and you control Toy Vendor, you can banish itself and another Fluffal monster to draw a card, send Toy Vendor to the grave to draw another card, and if it resolves, in total will get you 2 draws and a search. Fantastic card. Not really cute, it's just wings. Design could be better. Penguin. Earmuffs and a bow tie. This guy is iced the fuck out. Can summon another Fluffal from hand when on field, and when sent to the grave for a fusion summon, allows you to draw 2 and discard 1. Fantastic card, very cute. Patchwork. Can be substituted for any named monster on a Frightfur fusion, but the other materials must be correct. Basically another copy of Edge Imp censored, but could give access to other niche Frightfurs.
Not great or terrible.
Cute enough to be allowed. Octopus. Recovers any Fluffal or Edge Imp from grave when summoned. When sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, puts 2 banished monsters back into the grave. Solid effect, is the ugliest card in the deck and I hate it. And the last Fluffal. Angel. It's a pendulum. Its scale effect is to revive a Fluffal or Edge Imp from the grave, but then locks you into fusion summons, and its monster effect is to tribute itself, discard a card, and revive a Frightfur fusion. Does nothing most other spells in the deck don't already do, And Octopus, I take it back, you're no longer the ugliest card. It's this thing. I must be playing The Witcher 3 because I'm about to throw the baby in the oven. What a game. I'm talking about the card, not a babe. On to the edge imps. Censored is needed for a few of the fusions as the named material on the cards and can revive itself from grave by placing a card from your hand on top of the deck. Acceptable to play, not acceptable to ever see the artwork of. Chain. If it attacks, it will search another copy of itself, and when sent to the grave from hand or field, searches any frightfur card in the deck. Second best edge imp, good card. Frightfuloid is as useless as it is hideous. Bad card. Saw. On summon, foolishes a Fluffal, then draws 2 cards and puts 1 card from hand back on the deck, either the top or the bottom. Nifty, but also not at all worth playing. Tomahawk can foolish an edge imp from deck to copy its name, only to be played if you are nostalgic for Call of Duty Black Ops. Cotton Eater. Scale effect, gives all fusions 300 attack, and once per turn when you fusion summon a frightfur, you can draw a card. The monster effect can burn for 200 times the number of frightfurs in your grave. Awful monster effect, okay scale effect, not a good card. Scythe. Quick effect can reveal itself to fusion summon a frightfur using cards from your hand or field. It is usable during the opponent's turn when they're going first, and if a frightfur monster would be destroyed, you can banish it from the grave instead. Best support the deck god ever, is goated with the sauce. We are on pace for a world record. Let's fucking go. The fusions. Purple Bear. Needs censored, and Bear specifically equips a monster it destroys in battle to itself and gains 1,000 attack for each. Was bad in 2014, not much else to say. Wolf needs censored and any number of Fluffals to summon, and can attack a number of times up to the number of fusion materials used to summon it. My favorite in terms of designs for the fusions, great for OTKs, it's a good boy. Chimera is bad, it doesn't even feature any of the other cards, besides Bear, but it's not even actually Bear. Discount Goyo clogs your field from actual good fusion monsters, bad card. Leo requires Saw and any Fluffal, literally Frightfur Volcasaurus, not that good. Sheep needs Chain and any Fluffal, is Armades and floats to gain 800 additional attack when it comes back, not a bad card, good for some matchups, I still play it. Tiger needs Censored and any number of Fluffals. When summoned, targeted pops any number of cards on the field up to the number of fusion materials used, and also gives Frightfurs you control 300 additional attack for each Frightfur or Fluffal you control. Helps makes things big, including Wolf. Good card. Sabertooth needs a Frightfur fusion and 1 or more Edge Imp or Fluffal monsters to summon, revives a Frightfur fusion when summoned, and gives all Frightfurs you control 400 attack. And if it's summoned using 3 or more materials, is indestructible by battle or card effect. Fantastic extender to this day, also has big goofy eyes, so very quality card. Kraken needs any Edge Imp and any Fluffal. Once per turn can send 1 monster your opponent controls to the grave. Does target but doesn't destroy, so solid effect. Can't attack if it does this, but when it does get to attack, it can attack twice, and despite being the Kraken, it turtles itself into defense position at the end of the battle phase. Solid for removal, allows for a great release the Kraken jokes, good card. Daredevil. 3k beat stick that can burn the opponent. Not good, plus wearing a diaper, plus L plus ratio. Bad card. Frightfur Nightmare. Not that great, gets big number attack stat, can also foolish cards, but to do so has to destroy a leveled monster by battle, and does have protection, but only for itself. Clever name, shitty card. And the Whale. If summoned, can destroy a card on each player's field and can send a Frightfur card from deck or extra to grave to give 1 fusion you control attack equal to half the sent monster's attack. Great card, Mermail's Fail Whale should take notes for how to be a good card from this. And from here, it's just the spell and trap. Toy Vendor is the deck's bread and butter, allowing you to discard a card, then draw a card, and if it's a Fluffal monster, you can special any monster from your hand. Otherwise, the card drawn is discarded. When sent to the graveyard, searches Edge Imp Censored or any Fluffal monster. Satura Rebirth is one of the 3 monster reborn spells for the deck, reviving any Fluffal or Frightfur and negating their effects. Frightfur Reborn revives any Frightfur monster, and during the main phase, except the turn it went to the grave, can be banished to return a banished Frightfur or Fluffal to the grave. Frightfur Repair returns a Frightfur fusion from the grave to extra deck to summon a Fluffal or Edge Imp from the graveyard, and can be banished to summon a Fluffal or Edge Imp from your hand. but you can only use one of these effects per turn. Frightfur Sanctuary is the actual worst card in the deck, despite Angel being the ugliest card to make that the worst card in the deck. You can decide which is more disappointing. Toy Parade is always treated as a Frightfur card and is also very bad and not worth playing, let alone describing. Frightfur Factory has Wolf on it looking cute, so I like it. It banishes a poly or fusion spell from your grave to summon a Frightfur using materials from your hand or field, and when sent to the graveyard can recover a banished Frightfur fusion. Frightfur Fusion is the in-theme Miracle Fusion, banishing materials from the field or grave to fusion summon. And the actual best card of the deck, Frightfur Patchwork. A free +1, it adds any Edge Imp and a copy of Polymerization from the deck to your hand, and is searchable off of chain. Goat card. And for the traps, we've got Designer Frightfur, reviving any Fluffal or Edge Imp, and treating them as a Frightfur monster for a fusion summon. Bad card. Fluffal Crane triggers when a Fluffal monsters is destroyed by battle or card effect to recover one Fluffal from the grave to hand, and then draw a card. Bad card, amazing art. Fusion Fright Waltz is a burn card that only works if your opponent is playing a fusion deck and is laughably bad, and Frightfur March is a counter trap that only negates cards that target Frightfur fusions, then sends the targeted Frightfur to the grave to summon a level 8 or higher Frightfur from the extra deck. Then it banishes that monster it summoned during the next end phase. Bad. And the last card for this archetype, Frightfur Jar. Its name becomes Toy Vendor on the field, and you can discard a card to draw another card, and if it's an Edge Imp, you can destroy one card on the field. Otherwise, you put one card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Unlike Toy Vendor's fantastic graveyard effect, this card's graveyard effect halves the attack of one of your opponent's monsters. Bad. And that's all of them. Hot damn, is that a world record? No. No, it's not. I still can't beat DPYG. Oh, that dude is just too great at summarizing card effects in simple terms. Hey, but I tried. Personal best. So there's every single card in the archetype. Now on to why I'm making this video. The good ones and why not play them. Fluffal actually got better with its support, which is necessary for a fusion deck. It's still held back a bit by its earliest designed cards, things like Dog needing to be summoned from hand specifically when compared to other Stratos type monsters. Toy Vendor only searching Edge Imp censored as opposed to any Edge Imp is pretty lackluster compared to the modern support, and the earliest fusions needing specific Edge Imps, or even in the case of Purple Bear, specific Fluffals, could be better. But the new stuff has been great for making viable cards in more competitive settings. 3 of the best fusion monsters need any Edge Imp or any Fluffal, and the effects they have stick true to the Fluffal's core strategy. The deck's strongest first turn combos, whether literally going first or going second and it's your first turn as the second turn in the duel, all abuse the Toy Vendor Wings combo, one that will draw 2 cards from your deck and net you an additional search, making for a variety of combo options and consistency in your plays. That, coupled with Frightfur Patchwork being a searchable +1, make the deck a pretty damn resilient one. And because Penguin and Dolphin are both level 4 waters, the deck has access to Bahamut and therefore Toad plays. Plus, with Artifact Dagda and Edge Imp Scythe, this deck was able to Scythe lock on the opponent's turn before everyone else was doing it with Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. It also uses Scythe to use Scythe, which is pretty damn fitting. Or at least funny. There's also the fact that using Tiger to clear the opponent's field, and then using it to summon Sabertooth, and then using that Sabertooth to make another Sabertooth, the numbers can get big. All your Frightfurs will gain 1700 attack with just those 3 on the field, and if by the God Hand you're able to get those and a Frightfur Wolf on field with its minimum 2 attacks, it'll be doing 4000 attack each time, which is pretty damn satisfying. The deck does have a small history of topping as well. As recently as August of 2020, according to Yu-Gi-Oh! TopDeck.com, and if I'm not mistaken, it also topped at a 2021 Remote Duel Extravaganza. So if you are a competitive-minded duelist, this deck does have some applications. From what experience I have with it lately, it's really only scared of, I think, Nibiru or Droll Lockbird, or I play it very badly. The amount of pluses it generates make an Ash Blossom or an Imperm negating a search effect pretty negligible, which can be nice to hear if you're someone who's been playing a deck lower on the tier lists and struggles against a single Ash Blossom. Shoutouts to rogue players, I know you exist. It's tough times dueling after 2017. This is the deck I've been messing around with, very much in need of some work, as is tradition on this series. Royal Penguin Gardens hilariously can search out Fluffal Penguin, and if you want to, although I probably wouldn't recommend it, in the circumstance you can use its other effect to pitch a Edge Imp Chain to increase the level of your penguin, and then use Chain's effect engrave to grab Patchwork. You may also want a third poly in this deck, and you could make an argument that you only need one copy of Fluffal Wings, but I just love the plussing that it enables. You can make this much more competitive with things like the Scythe Lock and the recently popular Necrofusion to summon on the opponent's turn even more from what I've seen, but I enjoy the slightly more traditional, I guess, version of the deck. That and most of the cards are cheap. The newest and arguably strongest support is all common, and it's all gotten reprints from, I believe, the Fusion Enforcers set. Or if you're playing all Master Duel, the deck has, I think, 4 super rares and 2 ultras in terms of its core, so the majority of it is just rare or normal. Basically what I'm saying is it's pretty affordable everywhere you look. And it's an explosive, resilient, fun combo deck that has no trouble getting off effects to remove cards from the field and get big numbers to attack with. And, you know, plus by searching and recovering cards from the grave. And it's also one of the cutest decks in the game, outshined only maybe by Melfi, and it actually packs a punch, unlike Melfi. If you like stuffed animals, purple, and winning duels using unconventional strategies, maybe give Fluffal a try. I can promise, if nothing else, they are a very fun deck to toy around with. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Because it is 2022 when I made this, I can actually show you these scissors. But if it were 2014, they would have to look like this. Damn shame. As always, subscribe to YGO Strats so that you too can become a true duelist.